So, good morning everyone. Let me start thanking a couple of persons here, Anatoly and Artyom and Tumin, because they believe in my talk as a keynote for this Google Fest. Thank you so much, and I'm very welcome in this city, so thank you. So let's go in deep in this presentation. That is how to defeat imposter syndrome and use it as an invaluable asset for our growth. This is a very personal talk based on my experience, so let me start presenting myself. I'm Matteo. Hello, everyone. I'm a senior software developer. It's a rover, traveler, runner, blockchain, and crypto enthusiast, not in this order. I was born in Foggia, in the south of Italy. I lived a few years in Rome. Then I moved to Milan, and right now I'm living in Barcelona, working for Ubeeqo, that is a part of Europcar Mobility Group, and I'm working on connected car platform. Our aim is connect all the fleet of Europcar, 500,000 vehicles, through our services. This is my... Sorry, copy? No, what's going on? Let's do like this.
It will be better.
Like this? Okay, cool. So, this is my trademark, this Italian gesture on Slack, and that's the LinkedIn. So, now that you know me a little bit, I would like to know you as well. So, I would ask you a couple of questions. Have you ever felt like you don't belong where you are? Is everyone at your office more talented than you? And do you think that you don't deserve what you achieved until now? So, for these questions, I would like to go to this site, sleep.go, and enter this code, ISQ1, or please use the QR code. I will give you a minute. And in the meanwhile, I will take a picture of the attendance. Cool. And once you answer to this question, please, on the same side, ISQ2 is the code or this QR code. Please answer to another question, and then we will see the results. You done it? More or less? Please raise your hand if you already answered. Okay, very few answered. So let's go to the results. So, to the first question, have you ever felt like you don't belong where you are? Is everyone at your office more talented than you? Do you think you don't deserve what you achieve? Until now, 60% roughly answer that yes, they are feeling this in this way. And then let's see to the second question, that is, do you feel that right now you are frustrated by this syndrome? 81% say yes, so it's a huge result. And I would like to show you what happened in Milan, more or less 1 month ago, when I presented the same talk to GDG Milan. 82% told that they are feeling imposter syndrome, and 60% more or less they are feeling in this way right now in their current workplace. So I would say the results are more or less the same. So it seems that this is something in common to many of us, and I'm not the only one. So why I decided to talk about this syndrome? In June, I was in Barcelona, enjoying a sunny day, as usual, like me. And I was looking to my emails. I found a link regarding the imposter syndrome. It was an article. I read it. It was quite interesting. but I had something to say around this topic. So I started writing a LinkedIn post, but over there is a limit, 1,500 characters. So I published this post, but I had to say something more around this topic. So I started preparing some slides. I ended up with more than 80 slides. So I've got a lot to say around this topic. I would like to share my experience, because if I'm here talking to you, it's because I felt in this way, but I overcome this feeling. So there is a solution. I would like to show you how we can tackle this situation. So let's start with my story. In January 18, 2015, I joined Viacom, which is a multinational company. I think that all of you know at least one of these brands. I worked on many cool projects for them. The biggest one was working on the APIs for Playflex mobile TV applications. I started working alone on these APIs for feeding mobile applications in June 2015. In September, we launched the first 3 applications, and then after 1 year, we had more than 15 million downloads, more than 40 countries covered, and more than 50 million episodes streamed every month. So it was a huge result. And based on this experience, we decided to use the same approach for websites. So consolidating with one single API all the websites. And this is what we started in 2016. I was building both the API, and then I worked even on the website platform. And this is what we did in the next 2 years until 2018. Consolidating all the platform, all the websites on one single platform. And this is the future of Viacom. But in January 2018, I was feeling that, okay, it was a pretty good job. I was amazed by all the achievements that they reached, but I needed something more, something else. It was not clear to me what I was looking for, but for that reason I started looking around in LinkedIn and started studying some topics that were related to my current job. I started studying machine learning, AI, just for expanding my knowledge. Then, in July, I went on vacation in Croatia. This is the view from my house that I had on Airbnb. And I started thinking, why I'm staying in Milan? Because this is what I need. I need sun, sea, and sun. But vacations ended, and so I had to come back to my day-to-day life in Milan. Milan is a nice city, but it's gray for very long months. And I'm from the south of Italy, so I'm not used to gray weather and cold weather. So I started looking on LinkedIn if there were any opportunity around there, but there are way too many opportunities, so I needed to narrow down the list. And I started filtering, I would like to live in this city, I would like to work for this kind of company. And then I remembered that, well, I always loved Barcelona, so I started focusing on this specific city. There were many openings over there, and my attention was caught by one specific job posting. This company was looking for a PHP developer that was eager to start a new career in Golang. And it seemed pretty cool. The only problem was that it was expired. Nevertheless, I wrote to the recruiter, Barbara Ranzo. It was a cold email, just presenting myself and telling her, it is still open, this opportunity. I knew that it was closed, but I tried. And I was lucky, because she answered me, yes, we can start talking. And so I talked to her, and then I talked with other people in Europcar, Ubeeqo, and I started the hiring process. After 1 month, more or less, in September 2018, I got an offer from Ubeeqo. So my dream, living in Barcelona, was fulfilled. And in December, I packed up and I said goodbye to my friends over there in Milan. And I started my new life in Barcelona on December 27. In January this year, I joined Ubeeqo. I started the onboarding process with this company. There were many things to learn for me because, as I said, they were looking for a developer eager to change career, starting working on another language, another platform, different technologies, and that was my case. But I was overwhelmed by all the changes because I never worked on Kafka or Golang, or I didn't know anything about connected cars. It was completely new to me. It was a nice challenge, but maybe too much, because I worked on PHP, Java, MongoDB, or AWS, and here I was using Golang, Kafka, Google Cloud Platform, connected cars, many new things. Nice, but I felt overwhelmed. So I started questioning myself. Do you remember the questions that I asked you at the beginning? Same questions were bugging me. So everyone in this office is more talented than me. How is it possible that they hired me in the first place? What were they thinking? And what the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here. So I was questioning a lot myself, and these were my feelings every day for the first weeks. So was it imposter syndrome? Were they self-doubt? I don't know. However, I was feeling in that way. Let's start defining what is imposter syndrome, just for having a better understanding. This syndrome was defined in '78 for the first time by two psychologists, Pauline Clance and Susan Imes, and they said that this is a foreignness in people who believe they are not intelligent, capable, or creative, despite their achievements. Another definition coming from the Cambridge Dictionary, it's feeling that your achievements are not real, or that you don't deserve what you achieve, your success. Last definition that I want to give you is from Dr. Valerie Young, a psychologist. People who feel like imposters have a super high self-expectation around competence. No one likes to fail, obviously, but when imposters experience this kind of situation, failure, they feel ashamed. While doing my researches on this topic, I realized that there is not only one imposter syndrome. There are 5, and there are 5 main traits. First one is the perfectionist, that basically is setting high goals for the achievements for themselves, and they are control freaks. They think that the only way for having things done properly is doing by themselves. Another trait is superwoman or superman. They are pushing themselves to work harder and harder every time just to measure up. Another trait, the natural genius. This kind of person tend to measure their capability by the time they are achieving their goals. The faster they are, the better they are for them. And if they don't do things at the first time right, they feel ashamed. Another trait is the soloist. They don't need any help by anyone. They refuse help just because they want to prove their worth, and they feel ashamed of asking help. And then there is the expert that believes that he or she doesn't know enough, and they feel to be exposed. So for this reason, they never ask any help to anyone, because otherwise they feel to be exposed as inexperienced or unknowledgeable. But always doing my researches, I realized that there are even people that feel more capable and smart than they are in reality. And I think that we encounter these kind of people quite frequently in our lives. Let me make an example. During a family gathering, Christmas dinner, for example, we are with family and friends, and someone all of a sudden starts talking about random topic and talks a lot. We realize that this person doesn't know anything around the topic, but nevertheless he continues talking and he believes that all the other ones are incorrect. This kind of situation has got a name, that is Dunning-Kruger effect. This syndrome was named for the first time by two psychologists, David Dunning and Justin Kruger, two psychologists. They did some researches, and doing these trials, they reached to very interesting results. This diagram is showing the results of some tests around grammar, humor, and logic. And these two psychologists realized that people who scored in the lowest percentiles on these tests also tended to overestimate their achievements. As you can see here, people in the 12th percentile said that they were around the 60th percentile. On the other side, people who got really high results, really good results, they underestimated their performance. So, just for summarizing this slide, in simple words, high achievers have self-doubts, while low achievers are flamboyant. In this other diagram, I think that is summarized our learning experience. When we approach a new topic, we have a very low confidence around the topic and we know nothing. Then, when we start knowing and learning something around this topic, we feel overconfident. And so for that reason, when we take decisions, we make stupid decisions. We are on the peak of the Mount Stupid. We fail most of the times. So we fall down to the valley of despair. We are desperate. But doing this, we learn something more. And continue studying the topic, then we are on the slope of the enlightenment. So we grow both in experience, in knowledge, and in confidence. And then we reach a plateau of sustainability where our confidence is high and even our knowledge is high. We are kind of gurus of the new topic. We are mastering it. I would like to tell you an anecdote on this imposter syndrome, this Dunning-Kruger effect that is really, really hilarious. There was this guy that confused the optical properties of lemon juice as an invisible ink, as an invisible substance for everything. So he spread on his face lemon juice and he went to 2 banks for robbing them. After a few hours, he was caught by the police. And he said, how is it possible? I had lemon juice on my face. Actually, he did a test before going to the banks. He took a selfie with a Polaroid, and the picture was white, but just for one reason. The film was defective. So, incompetent people, like this example, are not only poor performance, but they are even really poor in assessing their capabilities and in assessing capabilities of people around them. So, for this reason, they always feel the better in the room, the best in the room, because they are not able to understand the knowledge of people around them. And moreover, this mental effect is giving to these incompetent people the inability to understand how inept they are. So it's something really, really bad, because these incompetent people feel overconfident, and this drives them to big failures, as that Robert that I showed you. Actually, the Dunning-Kruger effect is not affecting only incompetent people. I will give you one example. Maybe a scientist that is very skilled in his field thinks that he is even a good writer. He thinks that his knowledge can be carried in other areas, but maybe he's a poor writer. So he's skilled in something, but he's really bad in something else. So this Dunning-Kruger effect is something that every one of us is susceptible. And I think that in some areas, all of us, we are doing it right now. But we are not able to assess it because, as I said, it's something that is blinding us. And just for being 100% clear, this Dunning-Kruger effect is not related to IQ. And in fact, the the scientist wannabe writer is explaining pretty well. So I cannot say if I'm affected by Dunning-Kruger in some areas, but I know for sure that I have plenty of self-doubts. So am I the only one having these doubts? Am I the only one feeling this imposter syndrome? This scientist, Sandeep Ravinder, in his paper wrote that it has been estimated that nearly 70% of people is experiencing this feeling, self-doubt and imposter syndrome, at least once in their life. And given the results of our poll, I would say that we are near to that. So these feelings, self-doubt and imposter syndrome, are quite common in many industries, not the industries actually, but in the IT field, given the conditions that are super high competitivity, is affecting more than other businesses. And in fact, IT people like us are paying this toll, me included. There is an anonymous workplace social network named Blind that conducted a survey last year. They have a huge user baseline in many big companies, like 44,000 users from Microsoft, 28,000 from Amazon, 11,000 from Google, and so on, just for naming a few. To these users, this social network asks, do you feel self-doubt? Do you suffer from imposter syndrome? And 10,000 people answered, and the result is that more than a half, 58%, are experiencing imposter syndrome. It depends by the company. Some people that work in some companies are affected more than others, but medium is 58%. So, which are the common traits of this imposter syndrome? Just for understanding if we are affected by this syndrome. Well, you have difficulty accepting praise. You are an overworker. You need to do extra hours for feeling at the same speed of your colleagues. You feel the need to be the best. You are described as a perfectionist. The fear of failure is paralyzing you. You don't show any confidence. And you are dreading success. You are trying to escape from success. You compare your struggles to the ones that are felt by other people, and you feel that your ones are bigger than the others. You associate praise to charm and not to actual talent. You focus more on what you haven't achieved and not on what you have done. And then you are convinced that you are not enough. Which are the factors that contribute to this syndrome? Well, as a starting point, nature and nurture. Nature, because there are obviously some people that are more sensitive, more emotionally reactive and self-focused. Nurture in the form of childhood conditioning, because I think that happened to every one of us when we were a child. We were boxed in a definition. He is a good child, he is a funny child, clever child, and along this process we suppress our real feelings. Then there are family expectations and perfection in parents. I think that this sentence we are at least once in our life. You can do better, I know it. Then when you change setting, like going to university, or you change your career, you change workplace, then there are other traits like gender stereotypes, or racial identities, or mental conditions like anxiety and depression. All these factors are contributing to people being affected to this syndrome. How this syndrome is affecting us? Well, if we fear everything around us, it reduces our productivity. It's slowing us down. It makes us pure decision makers. We are not sharing our ideas, our thoughts. So during meetings, we are the silent part of the meeting. We are engaging in self-protective behaviors. We are always seeking external validation. Am I doing it good? Right? We become poor team members because we are not taking part to the storming phase. And then we have to overwork, prepare more than others for feeling confident. And all of this is destroying our lives, is sabotaging our lives, because we may be missing our career or life opportunities. We are withholding ourselves. It makes more difficult to grow as human beings, because we are defending ourselves from the outside world, and we lose sight of who we are. You may think that only regular people like us are affected by this syndrome, but there are plenty of famous people that achieve a lot in their lives that are feeling like imposters. And one example is Sheryl Sandberg. She is the CEO of Facebook. She said that back in the time when she was in college, when she was calling a class, she was sure that she would fail the test and she would embarrass herself. And even if she was having great results, she was thinking, okay, I was lucky even this time, but next time I will fail. And even now, after being CEO of Facebook, she has got a foundation in her name. There are days when she wakes up and she feels like a fraud. Another example, David Bowie. He said that he had a huge problem in self-image and low self-esteem. And the only way for overcoming this feeling was working a lot, writing a lot, performing a lot. Work for him was the only thing of value. Serena Williams. You know, Serena and Venus Williams are two tennis champions. Serena felt a lot the competition with her sister, Venus. Actually, there were, for her, two Venus Williamses in the family. One and every. When they went to restaurants, she was the first one making the order. But then after Venus ordered something, she changed her mind. So she was in a regular competition with her sister, until one day she said to herself, I'm not Venus, I'm Serena. And that was the start of her real change. Meryl Streep, she said, why would anyone want to see me again in a movie? I'm not able to act, so what am I doing? Another example, Tom Hanks. Even if he recognized that he did a lot in the past, he's still thinking, how did I get there? When people are going to discover that he's a fraud, and they will take away everything that he has got. Another example, Lady Gaga. Now, there are still days when she feels like a loser, like in high school, and she has to remember herself that she's a rock star, and she needs to be what the fans need her to be. As you maybe know, there was a Facebook page on internet created by some haters back in the days when she was in college that was the German Otta is a loser. So she is still threatened by that feeling that she had back in the days in college. Last example is Ryan Huffington. I think that you all knows this lady. She said that the greatest obstacle for her was this obnoxious roaming, that is the internal talking that we are doing every day. We should realize that this internal talking that we have is really important, so we should stop talking negatively to ourselves. This is pushing back against our life. So, is this imposter syndrome all bad? I think that that's not that bad, because as I just showed you, there are people that achieved a lot in their lives, but even feeling the imposter syndrome, and they were not blocked by this syndrome. So we ourselves, we can do the same. It's just a matter of how we handle this imposter syndrome. If we allow this syndrome to push us down, well, we are limiting ourselves. But if we are able to recognize the situation, try to tackle it, accept it, and with the courage to go for what we want, then this imposter syndrome can be used as a fuel for our journey. This quote is coming from a software engineer, Alice Peter. She's also a blogger. She wrote that she credited her success to imposter syndrome. She wouldn't have worked half as she did without this syndrome, because she was constantly trying to prove herself and other people that she's good, she can do this. So what should we do for fighting this feeling? I think that we should be open to people around us. They are surely eager to help. We should find a mentor or a friend to talk about the situation or to take inspiration from. We should identify our strength and recognize our victories. We should not be afraid of making mistakes. We should accept that we had some role in our successes. I would suggest to store in a file all nice things that happened to us and that people told to us. And then could sound silly, but we will die eventually, so please stop being scared. So I will go back to my story. I'm quite a fan of Japanese culture. I practiced martial arts for many years, and one specialty that I studied was karate. In karate there is kata, that is a detailed choreographed pattern of movements that are made to practice alone. Basically you are fighting against an invisible enemy using your best moves. So what I did was going through the steps that I already showed you earlier, and with this I was able to put things in the right perspective, regaining balance. Be open with people around us. They are surely eager to help. These guys, George, Edu, Hector, and Adam, were the people that welcomed me in Ubeeqo. This is my team. They helped me a lot. They are still doing it. And as well as all other Ubeeqo employees. I just hope that I will have the opportunity to return the favor soon enough. Find a mentor or a friend to talk about the situation and to take inspiration from. Here there are my family members, friends, ex-bosses, and some famous people. I use them as a reference for taking inspiration and to talk when I'm in trouble. They're really important to me. Identify our strength and recognize our victories. I don't know where I read this sentence, in a book or I listened in a podcast, but I truly believe that people born in small towns quite often have huge dreams and a limitless dedication to make them come true. Well, I was born in Foggia, a small town in the south of Italy, as you can see in the map. I had, and I still have, plenty of dreams and goals to achieve. And I am stubborn, so I will not stop until I get there. Just a few examples of some small victories that I achieved so far. As I said, I was born in Foggia, a tiny town in the south of Italy, and I ended up working in Viacom headquarters in New York, so quite a journey. And well, yes, back in the days, as you can see, I had air, but then I started running pretty fast, so I lost them. Another example, as I said, in January last year, I needed a new challenge, so I started studying random topics. One of them was blockchain and cryptocurrencies. I was quite interested in this field since a few years ago, but I never took a formal education around these topics. So I enrolled in 2 MOOCs online. One was from the University of Nicosia, focused on the economics part of the cryptocurrencies and the blockchain, held by Antonopoulos, that is a guru in Bitcoin field. Another course held by Princeton University on Coursera, based on how to develop smart contracts and blockchains using Java. When I put this stuff on LinkedIn, I started being contacted by many recruiters, and it was nice. One of these opportunities that I got was from a big company, so I said, okay, I will try to join this recruitment process. It was quite long, 7 steps, technical assessment, interview after the technical assessment, other technical assessment, HR, another technical assessment, pretty long time. But after 7 steps, I got an offer from this company. that is Bitmain. It's biggest crypto related company in the field right now. It's huge. Last example. I'm quite a shy guy, but nevertheless, I'm talking about this topic in public, and I'm here now in Tumen talking to you. So it's another achievement for me. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Here I just summarized few mistakes that I did this year. Breaking pipelines or doing rollbacks, many things. Accept that we had some role in our successes. I think that it was not only luck if I was able to work for great companies with amazing people. And it was not only luck if I was able to pass technical tests, interviews with many companies, from startups to big corporations. I think that the only thing that was helping me was the fact that I was bold enough to chase and face the challenges and get out of my comfort zone. Story in a file, all nice things that people told us. This is a letter that my fellow colleagues in Viacom wrote me when I left the company. And then I also got many emails from these people, from many parts of the world. Brad from US, Giuseppe from Italy, Natalie from Berlin, Daria from Minsk, Belarus, Fernando from Berlin, Lily from New York, Kai from Berlin. I would like to read you just a couple of sentences that I received. Brad said, there can be only one Matteo Bruno. Thank you for being such a decent human being and a pleasure to work with. The new team that you will work with doesn't know how blessed they are. Strong sentence. Natalie said, thank you for your patience and guidance through the last years. Your humor has gotten me through many frustrating days. You are an incredibly skilled developer and just all-around awesome guy. Last one from Daria. She said, you have always been the most supportive and friendly colleague I ever met. And you were always there if any help needed. Then there are these messages that I got this year in Ubeeqo from colleagues. Thanks for the patience, thanks for not blaming people. Congratulations about the fact that I'm quite an expert in Mongo. Eduardo told me Mongo man, trickster. So the tip that I want to give you is every time you get a message from someone or an email, whatever, and it's saying something good to you, save it. It will help you later. Then, we will die eventually, so stop being scared. Around this topic, I want to tell you a couple of aphorisms from thinkers. First one is from Tony Robbins, that is an American author, philanthropist, and life coach. He said, stop being afraid of what could go wrong and start being excited of what could go right. Another aphorism from Susie Kassem, that is an American writer, poet, philosopher, and multifaceted artist. She said, doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. Last aphorism from Karen Salmonson, that is a best-selling author and award-winning designer. She said, your mission, be so busy loving your life that you will not have any time for hate, regret, or fear. So, how we can turn this bad feeling in positive energy? Well, remember that you achieved a lot in your life. Just think about it. For this reason, I suggest you to try to do the same exercise that I just did, going through those steps. And while doing it, you will be surprised by the fact that you did great so far. While doing this exercise, please enjoy this feeling of looking back at your life, your career, and seeing how many wonderful things happened to you. And then repeat these steps as many times as you need, because an extra boost of energy is always welcome. So, if you go to this point and you recognize that you did good, well, congratulations, great job. Please keep in mind, don't have any fear of getting out of your comfort zone, because it's there where great things happen. No one is immune from self-doubted imposter syndrome. We should manage the situation and use these feelings at our advantage to bloom and achieve our goals. As I said earlier, there is this continuous internal talking that we are doing. So what we should do is using this internal talking as sport champions are doing. We should use it for get focused, motivated, and energized. We should stop talking negatively to ourselves. And then we should talk more to people around us and learn from them, because everyone is a master in something. And well, one more thing. Don't stop believing in yourself. Thanks a lot. I left you here in the presentation a few links, so then I will share the link to the presentation. I don't know if there are any questions or if
yes.
some time for questions.
Do you have questions? We have a prize. Questions? No? Oh, yeah. Можете помочь? We have a question. Matteo. Prize for best question.
Okay, you have to choose.
Okay, you have to choose, yes. I hope it's not only once.
Раз. Thank you for your talk. It is really important topic, especially nowadays, where everything is fast as possible. I don't have really a question. I just have a recommendation for the colleagues, because it's Developer Fest. If you are working in a big company and constantly hearing talks about algorithms and some hard stuff you don't understand yet, and you are afraid of going to learn big books of information, you can just apply for coding challenges. There are some, and the closest one is Advent of Coding. It is when during the December you are making some tasks during December every day and fulfill your task and learn some algorithms along the way. So it is a really nice and convenient way to get rid of this imposter feeling by learning something, because knowledge is power and knowledge gives you confidence in what you do. So thank you again for bringing
I agree with you. I agree with you. Knowledge is power.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, prize is an important thing.
Thank you for your speech. I have some question. All people that you say, all famous people are more creative people. Did you think imposter syndrome is more for creative people? Because developer is, it's two creative people. But it's more for creative people, or it's less?
Well, I would say that writing code is kind of creative. But as I showed you during the presentation, Alice Peter, she's a software engineer, she felt imposter syndrome. Here I put famous people, and so there are not so many famous people in the IT field as rock stars. But that was the only reason why I put here Lady Gaga or actors. That's the only reason. There are many IT people that are affected by this syndrome. Alice Peter is just one example. So for me, it's not only creative people are affected by this syndrome. Otherwise, 70% of people in the world that are feeling in this way at least once in their life, we don't have 70% of creative people in the world. That would be nice, but that's not reality.
question? It will be a hard choice.
Hi, thank you for your speech. What do you think about, what do you mean about be a mentor when you have Imposter Syndrome? Not find, but be.
Sorry, I haven't heard the last part. Can you please repeat?
You advise find mentor, right? What do you mean about be a mentor?
Okay, well, it's a really hard question because if we are talking about mentoring people in the work environment, is someone with experience, so a senior engineer that can teach you how to tackle situations, can be a task or even a new project that you have to work on. But for me, mentor is not only in the working environment. It's someone that in your life could inspire you. That's the reason why in my presentation I put even family. For me, the goal is improving every day. It's something that I try to do at job, but even in my life. So mentors for me are people that could teach us something to be better every day. It could be at work or in life.
Ooh, it's hot. Hot human conference.
It was a really great presentation, and I have a question. You said that you can turn imposter syndrome into a kind of motivation. And what qualities do you have to turn it into the right motivation?
I would say that it's a matter of recognizing the situation, because when you understand that you are affected by this syndrome, that's for me the turning point. Because if you acknowledge it, then in yourself should click something. You want to fix the situation, and that's the reason why you should be open to other people, talk about the situation, try to get help from someone. You should not forget that you did something in your past that is good. And so when you realize it, that's the turning point, the viewpoint for then getting out of this feeling. This is my opinion.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for the presentation. Previously I want to, sorry for my English, because I can do mistakes. So I don't have a question, I have an addition to the first responder. Don't be afraid to make direct questions. When you don't understand something that you in some conversation of some maybe more qualified specialists, developers, it's a recommendation for the juniors and someone who starts to develop something. Don't be afraid to ask questions directly, because I have my mentor when I started to develop applications. It was the main rule that make me become the developer. Thanks.
Cool.
Thank you for the presentation. You said how to defeat imposter syndrome by yourself, and could you answer the question how to help my colleagues to defeat this syndrome? Become a mentor or something else?
Well, yes, that's a really good question, because it happened even to me in the past to see people that were feeling this self-doubt, this imposter syndrome. And I would say that for helping these people, we should not be pushy, but we should let them feel safe. So please ask me everything. There are no bad questions, there are only bad answers. So ask everything you have in mind, please be open, and just talking will be helpful for these people. Talk a lot. No other questions? Okay, so I have to choose the winner of the prize. I would say that the question that I preferred was the one around mentoring. So, that guy over there. Please take your prize.
I'm sorry.
No. If you want, you can come here, you can take your prize. Please, big round of applause.